Hello and welcome to this demo video for the Sales Pipeline Manager. So this is a standard product which we've got in our store. We obviously make bespoke versions of this depending on your business, but if you would like to buy the standard version, this is how it works. So this is the intro and setup page. Let me just scroll down and show you what's happening here. You can click here to come back to our website to watch the demo video, or here to watch this demo on YouTube. Right, let's go down to the setup because this is quite important. What's happening here? Well, you've got statuses, which I've already put in hot, warm, neutral, slight, and cold, and rejected. Those are the chances, how you perceive each job. So if you get in a lead and you think it's a really hot lead, it's going to go to a sale, select it as hot. If you think, well, this is quite cold, it's a bit of a chance, you can take a chance. You can put in, obviously it's cold, anything in between. You can rename these. Just make sure that the higher up they go, the more likely they are to be sales, and the rejected, it's grayed out because you need to leave that as rejected. Lock the 12 months. You'll see what this is about, but on the reports there's a 12-month period and it's a rolling 12 months, so it works on the current month. I would suggest leaving this blank while you're using the spreadsheet. When you get to the end of a financial year or the end of a calendar year, if you want to save a copy of this, which is basically the data from that particular 12-month period, then just do save as and select the month and put in the year. And then what it'll do, once you put in both of those, it'll lock the final date at that date, so it won't progress the spreadsheet any further, and then carry on with the other spreadsheet with the data into the next year. Because obviously when you're starting a new financial year, excuse me, when you're starting a new financial year, you don't want to lose the data from the end of the previous year because you're using that to carry you forward. So if you just want to save as, lock the last month in, because whatever month you put in here, when you go to your sales forecast and such, let's have a look at this graph. It's got the 12 month, or actually plus the future months. It'll lock it at that particular period. But while you're using the spreadsheets and you're progressing month by month, just leave that blank. But otherwise, put in a date and a year and a month and a year, and it'll select that as the kind of current month, and it'll keep that. It won't progress. Warning days before due, you can click on this. All that is each stage of the project. I'll show you in a minute. Will change color when you get to that particular stage, and you can just say how many days before the due date do you want it to actually warn you and turn yellow. We've set that at 1, but you can change that if you'd like to know more in advance. And then we've got at the bottom here your sales process stages. We want you to break each sale down, each stage of the process of the sale into stage. I mean, I've named them stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can have up to 5 stages. What you want to try and do here is you want to try and make the final stage you've typed in the actual last stage before you make a sale. And what the spreadsheet doesn't monitor is the action between sale and the last stage. So what you want to do there is you want to make the last stage you put in pretty much guaranteed sale. All the sale does is just confirm that the sale has actually gone through and what value it went through at. That's all it really does. It doesn't monitor how things drop between that and this. So you really want your final stage to be pretty much the sale, but just not really confirmed necessarily. But you can name the stages, and then you can state how many days. So between the sales process, between when you first add the sale on and stage 1, so from between the start and stage 1, how many days should that take? Between the start and stage 1 and stage 2, how many days should that take? And so on and so forth. When you're filling in the number of days, keep in mind, obviously, if you have the process being 5 days long, you don't want to have your warning days longer than 5 days, otherwise you're going to have them going yellow before you can actually do anything about it. So you want to make sure this is how many days should each of these stages take. And here it says weekend and bank holidays. You can either exclude weekends and bank holidays, or you can include weekends. And excluding means you work Monday to Friday. Inclusive means you work Monday to Sunday. So you can make those selections beforehand. This you can change at any stage, and these days you can change at any stage, and that you can change at any stage. But the statuses and the sales processes I would tend to name before you start using the spreadsheet, because especially the statuses, if you select the status and then come and change them, that's not going to change all the selected ones you've already selected. It's going to leave them and it's going to cause confusion with the spreadsheet. So that's your setup process. Let's get on to these. This is quite a large spreadsheet. It's doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes, but it's once you fill that in, it's fairly straightforward to use. You've got your salespeople. Simply name your salespeople, put in the start date when they started, and then put in their monthly target. Don't have any duplicate names. If I come here again and do another Richard, you'll see it'll go red until they're duplicates. You don't want duplicates. Remove that. So put in obviously unique names. Start date really just keeps everything blank before. So if this person, for argument's sake, was only due to start there, so it's not going to ask you for totals over here. Now, why all those totals 0? I wouldn't worry about that yet. It's just because I haven't put enough data in. If you scroll across to the month where I have put in data, you'll see it captures their sales. But really, all you've got to fill in is the red section here: name, start date, monthly target. This will all automatically populate when you fill in what you need to fill in on the leads and sales tab. Now, leads and sales, give it a lead number if you've got got a number for it, or an ID, a lead ID or a number. Put in the client name and select the salesperson. So you come here and you select who the salesperson is for that particular job. If you don't use lead numbers, I will just give it the next number in the list, just so that you can sort it if need be. And then put in the date, the value, and the status at the start of the project. So what's the date you're selecting? What's the perceived value of the sale? So what are you hoping to get out? And what's the status? Is it a warm lead, a hot lead? And obviously you can select from what you've put into the settings tab. Now, the idea of the spreadsheet is to monitor the sale at each stage of the project and see what you perceive it to be. So in other words, if you say, well, let's go down to one of these we've filled in, the 29th of October, it's telling us this is red because this is overdue. We should have already done stage 1 because this counts up to 5 days, and it said, well, you've gone over, you need to be filling this in. So what we do then is we come here and we click on that, and it gives us today's date. We're shooting this on the 7th of November. So we click yes, okay, we've got that. And we go, and obviously each salesperson, or you go through each lead and say, okay, yes, we've got that date. Yes, okay, I'm doing the stage on this date. But then what you do then is you also give the perceived value. Now, if the value hasn't changed, so if it's still at £3,000, you can leave it at £3,000. If it's gone down to, say, £2,800, or if they've spoken to the person, they said, well, actually, they don't want all those services, they only want half of it. You can change the value. If it's the same, leave it as it is, and then again fill in the status. But now if the status is the same, you can leave it as it was. So if it's still warm, you can leave it as warm. But if you've spoken to this person and they wanted a bit less, and now it's gone down to neutral because you're not sure, but this person said they're only going to take half, but they're definitely going to take it, so that's gone from warm up to hot, you can actually put in the necessary information for each stage. Now the next stage, when you get to the date when it's due, you'll be able to fill in the next. It'll ask you to fill in the next stage, and you can fill in the next stage. You don't have to wait until the date. You can fill it in at any time. One thing I didn't mention when we started, let me just go back to the intro and setup. If you don't want to use all of these stages, start at the top and leave the bottom ones blank. But just make sure that the final one you fill in is pretty much sold, so that you don't have many sales falling through, and if they achieve your last stage and not go through to sale, because that will distort your figures. But I've obviously used all 5, so if you go back and you scroll across, you can put in you can put them in as and when you reach each of those different stages, and it'll change color to warn you. So you can keep track of each sales process, because each line is a particular sale, and you can keep track of where you are in that process and how you or the salespeople perceive the sale at each of these different stages. So what does that do for you? Okay, we're collecting all this data. Is that necessary? What's that actually doing? It's doing a few things. Number one, on the sales process, or the sales forecast report, each of the different stages is represented, and it shows you how many days have you allocated, what's the average number of days that's taking, what's the average price change. So you can see between start and stage 1 it's dropping 1%, between start and stage 1 and stage 2 it's increasing by 5%. So you can see the average price change and the probability change. So that's going up 1, that's going down 1, so on and so forth. So you can see each stage. So you might be able to pick up immediately why are the perceived prices tending to change drastically at any one of the stages. Now this is for all salespeople. So this entire report is for all salespeople. You can see what's become sale and what's projected to be a sale. You can scroll down. You can see the monthly actual sales and monthly forecast sales in the lighter green, and you can see where the target is, so you can see what's been forecasted for the following months. How does it forecast? Well, it's doing exactly that. What it's doing is taking your lead processes and is looking at what happens at each stage of each lead, and then it's applying that same logic to your open leads, and it's saying, well, this should end in a sale, that should end in a sale, so on and so forth. So because I've put in the fairly positive figures, it's showing here is all the predicted sales. But if you lose some sales, it's going to obviously use those statistics, and it's going to forecast potentially some lost sales. But it shows you here forecast what it is that you can expect if you achieve the same results as you achieved before. It also shows you your budget compared to your actual sales and what's outstanding. So that's obviously your entire annual budget, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. This is the one we're looking at here. But if you do want to have a look at your entire annual budget, you can see what's happening at the bottom there. But also what you can do then is you can come here and you can go, no, I don't want all salespeople. I'd actually just like to see Richard's. And okay, it stays the same because it's got the same outcome. But all these figures will change accordingly. The graph will change. Your sales prediction will change. Your budget, everything changes accordingly. So you can not only see all the salespeople, but you can actually focus in on any one individual to see what they've done, what the outcome is, so you can chop and change between the individuals and see how some salespeople maybe have different stages where they start to perceive the sale to be less of value, and you can start asking some questions. So it really is helpful to nail down exactly what's happening with any individual salespeople, or obviously all the salespeople together. But there's another report, and this is for your individual lead report. So what does this mean? If you click on this, you can actually go down and you can select any one of your clients. So you can see there the number, the client name, and the salesperson. So you can go down to any one of your leads. So let's go and have a look at our leads, and let's have a look at, for example, this one here, 138. So if we go to the individual sales and we go down to 138 and we see Michelle, you can see what's happened here. Dark green is what's actually happened with the lead, but the lighter green is what's projected for the lead based on what's happened on previous sales. And you can see here what's actually happened as far as the actual probability is concerned, but then you can also see what's actually gone on as far as the actual sale is concerned. So you can see the actual one and then what it's actually projecting, or based on what's happened before. So you can see the probability. So if you've got a situation where you've potentially got leads that you may actually lose, you can actually come in here and see, okay, what is the projection for these particular leads? Why do I stand to lose these leads? At what stage is it likely to drop? And then you can actually take action beforehand. So all of both of these sheets are doing is actually looking at this data, going, this is what happens from stage to stage to stage, and it then uses that data not only to show you what's happened, but also to show you what is potentially likely to happen based on average of previous results, based on the salesperson, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of formulas going on in the background, a lot of stuff happening, but yeah, fairly straightforward. All you need to do is make sure this intro and setup is set up correctly. Enter your salespeople's name, start date, and monthly target, and then just put in each lead, whether you put them in or your salespeople put them in. Obviously, you want to be the salespeople need to give you advice as to where they think these sales are at each of the stage. And keep in mind that these values aren't exact values. They could potentially be if you're re-quoting or something like that, but really it's just the perceived value of the sales rep. What do they think that the sale is going to be worth, and what's the status? And obviously, the more information they put in, the more this can use that and use that to not only show analytics but also predictions. So I hope that makes sense to you. It is fairly complicated, a spreadsheet, as far as what it's doing, but I hope that it's easy enough for you to understand what needs to be done. But please do keep in mind, if your sales process doesn't fit this mold, if this isn't quite what you're looking for, and you've got another way of working out, how your leads are due to pan out, and you want us to make something for you, please do get in touch, because this is just obviously one example of a sales pipeline manager. We can make plenty of bespoke options. So do get in touch if that's something that you need. And I wish you all the best with your sales. Goodbye.